just a continuation of the story of R-Truth and the 24/7 belt.
Yes.
You know, but there's not really much to talk about there, so we're just going to go right into the show, actually. Show starts, they kick it off with the Roman Reigns and Jey Uso match.
Yep, family member versus family member for the Universal title.
And going into this match, we all knew that Jey was, in Roman's eyes, being a little stubborn. Roman wants to be the chief, you know, tribal chief, and Jey's just kind of like, you know, maybe there's room for more than one. And so this whole story is kind of like a matter of Roman just wanting to be the head dog.
Yeah, not just the top dog. He
not
wants
just
to
the
be,
big dog.
He wants to be the patriarch of the whole Samoan dynasty that's been going on for like the last 30, 40 years in this company and all that. And it was a special stipulation for the I quit and all that. If Jey said I quit, he had to step in line, do what he was told, and that would be the end of that, them fighting each other.
Yeah, so, I mean, the match, you know, it's pretty much a cut and paste Hell in a Cell match. Did you see think of any kind of spots that stuck out?
Well, for me, since there really wasn't too much of like a wrestling type maneuver for maneuver stuff, it was just trying to do a lot of high spots or in between long subtleties of staring and yelling at each other. Maybe just the whipping of each other with the strap.
Yeah, they brought out the strap. They did the whipping. You know, there was a spot where, you know, they each kind of put each other through these submission holds where they passed out.
Right.
So they didn't say I quit, but, you know, it was the referee was really his own character in this match, just really laying on Jey thick about, like, come on, all you need to do is say I quit. Come on, Jey, it's okay, man.
I know.
And I'm like, what's that? Yeah, come on, just
Jeez.
be quiet. You know, we don't need you all becoming a character and doing all of that nonsense. But anyway,
terrible.
It's pretty much, you know, the match kind of ended, I think, the way most people expected, with Jey just getting totally beaten over by Roman. And Jimmy coming out, telling Roman, you know, enough's enough, we can work through this. Roman kind of showing some sympathy, coming to tears. Of course, they were crocodile tears.
Get that man an Oscar for his emotions, because we know after his career's done, he'll go to Hollywood and he can use those tears to...
He's got one foot in the door.
Yeah.
I think The Rock's already telling him, you know
what?
what?
His crying and the quiver of the lips, and then the next thing you know, he slaps the other one in a guillotine to get the other brother to just finally say quit and get away with it. And Paul Heyman looked like he was a deer in headlights, like he knew nothing was what was going on. He was completely shocked.
Paul's acting with this one's kind of funny, because he just does kind of like act like he's just kind of in a trance.
I know. Usually
he's looking up at the belt, just like.
Usually he's always got that smirk and he's got his arms and all that.
Yeah.
But this time it was just like deer in headlights. Like, who is this guy I'm representing? He's a total madman. You know, he's a lunatic.
Yeah, I guess once you take the shirt off, Roman's just a completely different animal altogether.
Apparently that vest was holding...
At least they finally did that with Roman, but really nothing else really too major. But again, Jey's getting the beat over. Jimmy comes out. Don't do this. You know, Roman, of course, turns on Jimmy, puts him in the...
Guillotine
choke.
Called.
Yeah, he passes out. Of course, it ends with Jey and Jimmy holding each other's hand, brothers united. Roman's just kind of, you know, doing away with the both of them like that, leaving them kind of passed out. And
yeah.
And
you see Roman going up that ramp, and who's standing there? Sika and Alpha. And they go up there.
And they give him the legs.
Some kind of ceremonial chieftain.
They anoint him the tribal chief leader.
They stand there like they're all proud of him, while the two brothers don't look like they're really happy about that, you know? I mean,
and Rikishi's got to have something to say about this.
Oh, I'm sure him and another
Those are his boys, so,
a couple members will probably have something to say, but we'll see in due time.
Yes, we will. Second match, Sessel. Well, was there anything in between the first match and the second one, vignette-wise?
No. It seemed like it almost...
We saw Retribution later.
Yeah, we saw them in the Hurt Business, but it was like little bits and pieces just to catch everybody up who may not be watching.
Well, I mean, you know, if you took advantage of that 99-cent deal I did this month, maybe you were watching. So the second match, Otis right? Was that the second match?
Yeah, I do believe so.
I forget the order. No, that was the second match. No, it was Otis.
Otis.
It was Otis versus The Miz for the briefcase, the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Yeah.
And of course, they were accompanied by their significant others, Tucky and John Morrison. This match,
I'd say it was a bit back and forth.
Yeah.
You know, they each tried to do maybe a move during this match, you know, with Miz doing his skull-crushing finale but couldn't get his arms right around. And then at one point, Otis tried to do his caterpillar, but Morrison saved the Miz from getting that in the corner. They went back a little back and forth. Later on, you saw Morrison try and hit Otis with the briefcase. Referee caught him. For once, a referee does their job, kicks him out, and the match goes on.
Sends Morrison to the back, and almost immediately after Morrison gets sent to the back, what happens?
Oh, well, we have a wonderful little twist. Tucker ends up hitting his boy Otis with the briefcase to make him lose. Because
Sessel saw it coming. I was shocked.
I mean, of course Tucker's going to do this. He's the man who's been pushed to the side. He's the one that's ignored. What a classic story that no one has ever seen before, right?
Yeah. We kind of saw it a mile away. It's just an excuse to start a feud with Otis and Tucker to make us forget about Otis meaning anything at one time, maybe.
Right. I mean,
at one time, this man had the Money in the Bank. He had Mandy.
Yes, Peach. His little Peach.
One of the most pushed stars on SmackDown, and now he's...
What's he going to be relegated
He spent more time on Raw and alternate personalities and gimmicks and makeup than he is actually being pushed in SmackDown as a legitimate contender for the world title.
Yes.
So even though you get this guy Money in the Bank, it was never to be the long-term agenda with this,
which is sad. Which is truly sad. I mean, it would be
this
nice
is
to
just
see
the
what
way.
happens.
This is the way WWE treats obese wrestlers, and it's just what it is. Vince is always going to treat them like comedy acts, and I mean, if Otis is comfortable in this position, he is.
Yeah.
I don't see anything too exciting about a Tucker and Otis feud when, quite frankly, on the main roster, these two gentlemen weren't even allowed to build anything.
Right, they never had a really good story of
no tag team
matches.
division to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, the way they've slowly destroyed the tag division and barely have anything, or they just throw two single guys together just to have something for them to do. It's a real shame, WWE does not do stuff with tag division stuff. It's a real shame, especially since they have two sets of belts. I mean, where's the logic in that? I have no idea.
Well, we're going to see this feud play out, and then we're going to see Otis in a feud for the 24/7 title. I'll take Gulak's place after this.
Could you really see Otis chasing R-Truth for that belt with the rest of them?
I can see a lot of buffoonery and shenanigans.
Which would be a shame.
But I can see Vince laughing at his two favorite wrestlers.
Yeah.
Entertaining him every week. So, hey, that is what it is.
Hey, maybe they'll do a dinner for three and have Vince with R-Truth on one side, Otis on the other, and they all can have steak.
Oh, yeah! Okay, moving on. The third match was probably the match I was looking forward to the most. That was Sasha and Bayley. This had a big build going into it.
Yep.
And, I don't know. What was your impression about this match?
Well, it's a classic story. Two friends break up. One's betrayed, again. And they got to sell it one way or the other. Bayley being a one-year champ. Sasha having injuries, never holding that belt, opportunities, and we just wanted to see another great match. We've seen these kind of matches out of Sasha Banks and Bayley in NXT with those kind of matches. They wanted to bring it here, and it was pretty much cut and dry. Similar formula, using certain weapons, the cage as much as they could, being outside as much as they were in.
Sasha Banks, the veteran of the Hell in the Cell women's matches going into this one. This was her third. They had, I think they said, right, they had 4 to date, and she was in, 3 of them. This was her fourth.
Yeah.
Right, this was her fourth going into this one. Bayley, champion over a year.
Yep.
You probably couldn't ask for a better job with the way they've handled her in the last year, being pushed the way they've been pushing her, being predominantly out there as one of the major heels in the company.
Oh yeah, flipping her, cutting the hair, getting rid of the flailing guys and stuff, and just having her go completely dark on everybody.
So, you know, a lot of needy auras.
Oh my goodness!
You know, she really, you know, used that maneuver in a lot of different ways. You know, the cage, the kendo sticks. You know, there was a spot here where they connected the kendo sticks to the chain link fence to the steps there. There was also a spot here where after the kendo sticks got snapped in two, Bailey tried to tape them back together to reuse them, and it wasn't working.
Yeah,
and she almost fell on her butt, almost tripped over them. She caught herself, though, which was good.
Yeah, that would have been a highlight in itself, just for the pay-per-view.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, they utilized a lot of objects in this match, I think, good. The match ended with Sasha putting Bailey in the bank statement with a chair, kind of lodged in between a chair. You know, I thought, I mean, I understand the look, the way the move was supposed to look. It didn't look too painful, but, you know, it looked like the way they utilized the chair. It looked like, you know, how they were doing it was, it looked good.
At a distance, it looked more painful than if it was up close.
Yeah, that's true. But this feud is probably over.
I would
think this was pretty definitive. Sasha Banks goes over, new SmackDown Women's Champion. The belt that matches the hair.
True.
I was surprised that I was thinking she already had a SmackDown title run, but she never did.
No.
So she's got the blue hair, she's got the blue belt. But I mean, you know, good for Sasha.
Yeah. Well, she can be.
I mean, like I said, Bailey being the champion for the year, she might even be taking some time off right now.
Yeah, possibly.
You know, yeah.
1 year, you know, defending it, doing matches. I mean, she could take a month off. You know, they could do a rematch, and then that's where the damage comes, and she takes the time off. Give somebody else an opportunity, a chance. We'll see who it is, you know.
Yeah, you know, thinking about where the SmackDown division is going to right now, you got Bianca Belair.
True.
You know, yeah, is she SmackDown or is she Raw?
I do believe she is SmackDown.
Is she SmackDown?
Yes, because the Street Profits are SmackDown, so...
And it's the segments with Bianca Belair that I kind of think that she might be next in line.
More than likely, the way she took care of Zelina as quickly as she did in their match, last Friday, you know, that I could see her definitely being one. If they decide they want to use, because The Fiend is also still on SmackDown?
The Fiend is Raw.
Oh, he's on
so The Fiend and Alexa are Raw.
No Alexa.
That would be more Asuka right there. You know, anybody in NXT, Tegan?
There's a lot of talk that
there's a lot of talk about the Kane. Kane character.
Yeah, she could be coming up, but we'll have to wait and see. You know.
Yeah.
Still a lot of speculation with that. I'm sure they could probably bring somebody up if they wanted to, or try and use somebody else that's on SmackDown. You know, I don't remember exactly who all the women are on SmackDown that would be able to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's Naomi. You know.
Okay. Yeah.
Boy.
See, I
after the draft, right?
Yeah, what Billy Kay? I mean, I really couldn't tell you.
Because Peyton's on Raw. Women's left.
Oh,
women's right.
Lacey Evans.
Lacey Evans. Why did that escape?
Yeah, Lacey Evans could definitely, you know.
Lacey Evans. Maybe Lacey Evans is another, like, you know. But I think maybe somebody from NXT, you know, it's a due.
Could always bring up Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, Rhea Ripley maybe after the next takeover. You know.
All
right, cool. So, match number 4. This was kind of the bathroom match. In a lot of ways.
Yeah. You know, the Hurt Business versus
Hurt Business. It was picking a member of the Hurt Business to go up against a member of the Retribution.
Yeah.
We know that last Monday, Retribution was completely put in the doghouse, looked like fools. Not only with Bobby Lashley putting...
It wasn't Slapjack.
No,
T-Bar.
It was T-Bar.
T-Bar
T-Bar and a full Nelson. Tonight was Slapjack.
It was for the U.S. Champ title. Bobby Lashley.
Was it?
I know. Shocking, right?
It was for It was for the title.
It was actually for the title.
Did they announce that?
No, it was all I can run up you and you can run up me, kind of back and forth, and who's
because this originally started out. It's like, hey, you choose a representative from each faction. They'll go up against each other to represent it.
Right.
So it just because it was Bobby Lashley, it turned into a U.S. title match. What did Slapjack do to earn this title match?
Absolutely nothing.
He wears like a crazy mask.
I know. I almost want to say he stole that mask from somebody else, but you know. How inventive can you be with just a basic mask?
You know, after Halloween comes and goes, there's not going to be much use for these guys.
I know. Maybe they should have saved them for like Halloween Havoc.
Yeah, they should have started these guys in NXT.
Definitely.
That's for. I mean, they all came from NXT. If they weren't being used properly, if that's the gimmick, then why not just have them come into NXT and be pissed off they weren't being used properly in NXT?
And then
I mean, nobody understands that they weren't being used properly because they were never used in the WWE on the main roster. These are NXT people that were scorned on NXT, right?
Actually, I think two of them actually was used pretty decent, and two of them weren't really used at all, if anything. And they just decided to throw them up there and let Ali be the leader of it all.
You know, to think about Keith Lee, right before he won, you know, the NXT Championship and all those segments with him and Mia Yim.
Right.
All right. You know, getting along, being a couple, having this personality, really getting over with the crowd, hanging out. And then look, like 2 months later, what are we doing?
Yeah. I don't know. I sometimes...
It must drive Triple H crazy. I mean, Triple H, as far as running a good promotion, he does a good job in NXT. And as soon as he gives them anything, Vince takes them. And he just keeps them on the damn shows. And he does nothing with them. He has Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns beat them.
Right.
It's not good.
It's terrible story and booking on the way that they do these guys. I mean, if you're gonna try and make them into something, make them into something. Don't just last second, let's throw and mash them together and create something that gets killed in 2 weeks. You know, you want to build these guys up as disruptive force, and they're causing, you know, chaos in the shows, and then the very next minute, one of the lower factions humiliates them, or they have the Fiend come out and wipe all 4 of them out.
Yeah, the Fiend come right out after the match. I mean, the thing that they put him through on Raw, it basically gave you the impression that they were burying them.
Oh, yeah.
And
quickly, too.
And so now this happens for no reason whatsoever. Slapjack goes up against Bobby Lashley. How long was this match? 3 minutes?
Maybe 4 at the longest.
Was there anything in this match?
Absolutely nothing worth to talk about. It was over quickly. Bobby Lashley slaps him in the full Nelson, which is now his new move. It's over in the minute the bell rings. Here come a member of Retribution. They come in, they start beating on him, and the next thing you know, here comes the Hurt Business, and that's pretty much the match. I mean, was that really worth pay-per-view time, having something that looked like it should be on a SmackDown or Raw?
If I recall, before Kofi Kingston won his title, wasn't Ali going to be pushed as like a title contender?
Oh, there was a good chance that he was going to be that, but then he got hurt in the one pay-per-view match, and him being sidelined gave Kofi the opportunity, which they just rolled with, and they truly made something good with it. Now, I can see Ali being mad because of the circumstances that happened, but the rest of these guys...
I can see fans being mad.
Really? No.
I can see fans being mad that you've taken all of these people that are just becoming something, and you put masks on them and making them goons.
Yeah, I mean, 2 of them look like the sons of King or Maine.
The week before Ali was announced as Retribution's leader, he was on Main Event. How are you even going to take it serious after that?
And they
You're not even building up a guy.
Say he's the hacker too.
I mean, when this faction was started, you thought that the brains, right, of the organization was going to be like someone a lot more set in than Ali. I mean, not anything, you know, bad with Ali, but they haven't done anything with him. So how can you believe that this guy, and then he comes out and these goons tap out, You know, they come out and they're this big threat. They've been interrupting the shows for 3 months, and this is all. I am under the impression this is a big joke by Vince. All right, he is. I'm not going to say anything else about it other than I don't think he ever would take this serious.
No.
And I think this is just something that he's getting a personal kick out of. Maybe Bruce is too. Maybe I don't know what's going on. But I don't see any point to it. And all of these guys, especially got those matches that Keith Lee had with Dijak. Is that
Dijakovic.
Dijakovic.
Yeah, those were great.
I mean, those really worked good. I remember seeing those
matches.
And, you know,
you totally expect to see maybe that get revived on the main roster. You know, you bring those guys up. I mean, look at all the stuff they did, the moves that they created against each other, just the battles, the back and forth, and the respect they had for each other fighting in all of those ones. But of course not. We don't get any of that. We get Keith Lee in a new outfit, terrible music.
Put a tank top on the fat man and make him job out to Braun Strowman.
No finishers. Almost everything is a DQ, a count out, or some kind of thing where there's not a definitive end for it. So it makes it look really bad for Keith Lee. And the guy's got tons of talent. I remember watching him in the Indies fighting other guys, and I'm like,
and he was a major superstar on the rise.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he was very hot. I mean, people were really talking about everything down to his entrance music, even taking the lyrics out of it.
Oh,
his raps, you know.
The time he was in the Rumble when he was facing Brock Lesnar, I mean, everybody was super hot for this guy, and now he is as cold as an ice cube. I mean,
and then you have Mia Yim, and who's the other girl in Retribution besides Mia Yim?
Well, actually, if you've noticed over the last week or two and all that, she's not really there, and that was Mercedes Martinez.
That was Mercedes Martinez.
I'm thinking they decided to cut a member, and she was unfortunately the odd one out.
And you think about women's divisions in general, and you think that Impact and NXT are probably the only two that really have good ones. Everybody else has good stars, but there's no direction. They're still weaning out. You know, they're trying to find focus. But Impact and NXT, why would you do that?
It's hard to say. I mean, I don't know if Bruce Pritchard or if there's a specific person who runs the women's division on that. But
I think Bruce needs to stick with his podcast. I think he needs to stop writing wrestling.
Yeah, they definitely have some really good women wrestlers in there.
Yeah.
But they need to really give them an opportunity, a chance. Not just like 3 or 4. They need to go and look at all the ones they've had and all the different pay-per-views, NXT or whatever. Look at the ones who've really stood out and actually have somebody do something with them, because there are talented gals out there. I mean, a lot of them did come from smaller independent ones that have wrestled for a while, but for some reason the WWE seems to not use their full potential, and they sort of get wasted or lost in the mix, which is a real shame. They pick and choose 2 or 3 every time, and then they just focus on them and their current ones that they are super high on. But you can't create great matches or great rivalries or great stories if you only have a handful. If you've only got 6, how long will it take before all 6 have faced each other? You've come up with the same kind of story that goes across. It's a real shame, and I really do feel bad for those ladies,
Yeah. I mean, what can you say? Especially when you do, see the talent. And you do see that, as long as they're in NXT, they do at least get a shot at something. They get exposure. They get a chance.
Yeah. But I think we had enough talking about that. We should continue on with the very next match.
Yeah.
Which I believe was...
I think it's the last match. We're already there. It was a 5-match card, wasn't it?
Oh, my goodness.
So we're at
it was
Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre for the WWE Raw Championship.
Yeah, we saw they showed all the
I guess the Heavyweight Championship, but the Raw Championship.
Yeah, not the Universal, but the actual
Heavyweight Championship. Yeah.
And we saw all the backstory between them, the back and forth, and the ambulance match, and all the old veterans, and Orton doing his thing.
Orton putting on his night goggles and his janitor's suit and going in and beating all the old timers.
Yeah, the classic legend killer, And, of course, we see Drew McIntyre coming down there. And the next thing you know, it's like, oh, hey, look, Randy Orton's hidden as one of the camera guys or one of the grips and all that, and attacks him from behind. And we see at least a good 2-3 minutes scuffling outside before they actually get in. Door gets locked, gets chained, and they start going after one another. Shots with a chair, the cage, the back and forth on the moves. Is give and take on both sides.
Yeah. So you done with this feud?
I am, but I don't know if the WWE is going to be done with it, especially since...
Not after the outcome. There's no way.
That outcome? No, that one's... I think it's going to drag at least to Royal Rumble.
Okay. Well, with The Miz now being the Money in the Bank.
Yeah, but he can do that anytime.
I'm going to say that something's going to happen where The Miz takes the belt from Randy.
Really?
And then McIntyre gets it back through Miz at maybe the Rumble. I'm going to think there's going to be some kind of shenanigans that they're going to screw over Randy. Because I don't think there's too much chance here of them doing a Randy McIntyre, Miz McIntyre. And there's that thing out there, and this is why he got the Money in the Bank. He wants to have that one last title run before he retires.
Yeah, well...
Because I don't think he wants to wrestle much longer than Miz. So if they're going to do something like that, and it's all going to happen before WrestleMania, then I'm going to say either McIntyre beats Randy at the Rumble, and something happens in between the Rumble and WrestleMania with The Miz. But I don't see The Miz going into WrestleMania with the belt. Oh, I hope not.
Well, I hate to
he did once before.
I hate to tell you this, but this is what I feel. This is how it's going to go.
Yeah,
we're going to see Randy holding on to this. Maybe McIntyre gets a chance or opportunity, but I think you're going to end up seeing Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton at the Rumble. You're going to see McIntyre get it from him. There's going to be some kind of little thing, like Orton gets mad and he RKOs him or blasts him with a chair, some kind of ridiculous thing. And then what are you going to see? The Miz run down with Morrison, and Morrison will hit him with a kick or do some kind of Starship Pain. And then all of a sudden Miz throws it in there, goes quick pin, and the whole place erupts in just pure anger. And I drags it all the way to WrestleMania, where McIntyre will finally get it, and Miz will be off into the sunset, and that will be the end of us ever having to listen to the Miz again.
The only way I would like a Miz going into WrestleMania as champion set scenario is if Miz drops the belt to Morrison. And that'll never happen.
No, those two are...
But, it's Drew McIntyre, and it's Randy Orton, and it's The Fiend, and it's Braun Strowman. We're talking just Raw title contenders here at the moment.
Right.
And so, unfortunately, Morrison won't be included in that.
No.
If Miz rides off into the sunset after WrestleMania, or shortly after, I hope Morrison isn't putting the Matt Hardy role...
No, I feel more he's going to get the Dolph Ziggler type role where...
I feel he shouldn't renew his contract and go to AEW as soon as Ty Valkyrie is ready to go.
Yeah, well, time will tell when it comes, when all these guys' contracts came up. I did see an article a couple days ago that did state when guys' contracts... I should have really looked at that and brought that way. People might get an idea of when some of these guys' contracts do come up, because there are a couple of guys that are in WWE that when their contract comes up, I would like to see them actually in AEW, because I think it could help with competition wise for certain areas in the company.
Oh yeah,
one of them being Cedric Alexander. I think he's a highly underused guy and has so much talent. And his wife actually works for the other company.
Who's his wife?
Big Swole.
Big Swole.
Yeah. Imagine that together. We saw Big Swole and we saw Dr. Britt Baker have their little go.
Yeah, I wish they would have gone a more traditional match.
I wish it had gone a little bit better, but injuries happen. I'm glad to see Britt Baker back, after all the stuff that she went through, broken nose, injured knee, and stuff like that.
Yes, definitely.
I'm glad that she's back, and hopefully soon Chris Statlander will be back from her knee injury that she got a few months back,
All right, so Randy wins, 14-time world champion, ties with Triple H. That means he won't get another one.
And that'll probably be the last one for him. And
you ain't gonna outdo me, Randy.
Instant Hall of Fame nominee for him. I mean, I'm sure everybody will be happy about that.
Randy had his Hall of Fame reservation before he even laced up his boots.
Yeah,
he was a blue chipper.
He was those second and third generation guys that worked for that company whose daddy, bent over backwards to make great.
But in all fairness, Randy Orton is a talent.
He does have skill. He's very good on the mic.
It's just that, it's Randy. Randy's Randy, and, unfortunately...
Love him or hate him.
He's been around, and I just can't get into it.
I know.
You know what I mean? It's so sad for Randy that he's so tired.
Yeah,
if Randy went to AEW, like if he went to AEW, if Randy, like a big name like that's like so tired, that like a fresh coat of paint in a different company, man, he'd be great.
Maybe it would,
but he'd probably be too big for AEW.
Or he thinks he's too.
Well, that's why that's probably what it is.
Yes.
Yeah. But
when you've lived in the Eiffel Tower all your life and all that, and they say, what about a different castle? You get a little comfort, and you'd rather have that security because some guys fear too much about their legacy, about actually going somewhere else. But, I digress. Some people are like that, and there are other guys who don't have that kind of issue. Jericho.
Yeah, well, that's why Jericho's doing a choreographed song and dance on Wednesday night, and it's still the most talked about segment of the week. These guys can just, put on the Ritz, and they do a better job than anything that WWE does.
I know. I don't know what was the deal with that rare and medium rare and practically raw.
Well, it's so blue. Well, okay, so are we done with Hell in a Cell here?
I am. I don't know about
you. Did you enjoy yourself, or did you have more fun watching me play Miss Pac-Man while what's going on?
I don't know. Well, definitely during the Retribution one, I enjoyed watching you do Miss Pac-Man.
I bought an arcade 1-up Miss Pac-Man. I can't let it go. Very distracting.
I'm sure there'll be plenty of people who'll be all, it was 5 out of 5. No.
They're probably in their 20s. They probably don't know any better.
Well,
I shouldn't say that.
No,
I mean, this
we are old. We are really universal.
But I think it's pretty universal that WWE right now is not really an exciting promotion. They're not at their peak in any means. But going from that to a little summary of what happened last night, you want to talk about Bound for Glory for a minute here?
Sure. Impact also had their pay-per-view last night. They're Bound for Glory, which is one of their big ones. They had multiple matches, some championship ones that were in there. We'll start with We'll start with the ladies. Why not? We saw Deonna Purrazzo, who was the champion and who just actually signed a new multi-year contract with Impact because she was working as a spot by spot. She was supposed to go against Kaylee Ray, if you remember, who had won that number one contenders gauntlet match. And unfortunately, Kaylee Ray wasn't able to come to the pay-per-view. Don't know right now, as of this moment, what the injury was, but from what I've read and seen, it's not a serious one. So in her place, we got back Su Yung.
So I like this. I like Su Yung. I like everything about her, So it was kind of just to compensate the match going in a different direction. I get it. The argument is there that there's more deserving people than Su Yung right now for the belt, but I like her, so I'm not too disappointed with this decision.
It's an interesting one, and it's one I can see. Mm-hmm. It fits into.
This was the debut of the Su Yung character coming back from Susie.
Right, because we've seen over the last month or so tidbits of Su Yung coming out, but Kaylee Ray sort of keeping it at bay, with Susie, and with Susie getting that title shot at Full Gear and getting her arm broken. It might have been the last straw for Susie and the return of Su Yung, who, in the end, did defeat Deonna Purrazzo to become the new women's knockout champion.
And what are you thinking about this? Did they think they wasted her re-debut as this character on this compensation? Do you think her Su Yung debut, coming back in, should have been utilized better?
No, I think this was an okay one, because now you're going to have a situation where Kylie Rae is still owed a title shot, being the number one contender, but now there's a bit of a conflict.
Yeah.
Her old friend Susie, who's reverted back to her true form in Su Yung, is the champion. So you see, it's not two friends, one portraying the other. It's one turning back into her true self, going against someone who was her friend for something very prestigious. And that story is, how will Kylie Rae cope with having to fight a friend who had turned for a title that she's owed? So I think that could add really good story to that title, the chase. And we'll see, if Su Yung will prevail from it because of her dark side, or can
you think any more connection with Rosemary or Father Mitchell, any more dark side?
I'm sure that'll swing back around at some point.
Yeah.
But I think with the upcoming nuptial of Rosemary with John E. Bravo and Father James Mitchell,
the Deaners are the best men, right? Are they like the best men?
Actually, Ball's still the best man.
Oh, Fireball is the best man.
Fireball is the best man.
Okay, right.
But you still have like the Deaners and Alicia and all them being groomsmen and.
Now, on a side note with the Deaners.
Yes.
Now, okay, when the rumor going around from MLW, Mason or Manswarner, I mean.
Manswarner.
Do you think Manswarner, they're going to put him?
What, like with the Deaners or something?
With the Deaners, eventually, when they both go to AEW and meet up, because I don't see the Deaners giving this gimmick up.
I don't think they'll give it up, but they have a very good loyalty for Impact, though.
Something about Manswarner and those two guys just fit with me.
Well, from what I've seen, the rumor is that AEW is very high on Manswarner.
Okay, so
there's more of a chance, depending on when his contract with MLW comes up.
Yeah,
I could see him going there, and I know at the end of the year that Davey Boy Smith Jr. his contract comes up pretty much the end of December. So
and that would be
there's a good chance he could pick and choose anywhere he'd want to go. I mean, he could go back to WWE, he could go to AEW, where an old tag team partner of his, Lance Archer, is.
See, I mean, AEW has Lance Archer, and there's Brian Pillman too.
Well, Brian Pillman's only working for them because his contract has a clause stipulated in it that a lot of the new ones for MLW.
So MLW want to hold on to.
They'll hold on to him.
Right
he did ask for his an early release, but they said no because they wanted to start up here very soon. I think they're starting up here in the next week or two.
Yeah, that would be good to see them back.
But he is allowed to work for other companies while MLW was on suspension and all that. So he's got that special little clause, and once they start going back into the filming, he'll be going back there, taking it. But there is rumor that he would like to wrestle in AEW, so maybe down the road we might see Davey Boy and Pillman back there. And who knows, maybe Pillman will bring in Griff Garrison with them, and there'll be a new trilogy type, like they were the Hart Dynasty in MLW.
Are you serious? Going to see Teddy Hart back?
That I wouldn't bet on, especially with the last reports that I've heard about Teddy, especially in the state of Texas, where he was arrested because he had a felony warrant out for him. But that is for another time that we can maybe talk about that. But we'll continue. Let's continue.
Yeah, we'll do that when we talk about Alberto Del Rio. We'll just bring all that bad news.
We'll bring in a future updates on independent guys or fellas who aren't.
They say Alberto might go away for a long time.
That is current.
All right.
rumor.
Anyway, Battle for Glory X Division Championship. We're kind of going out of order on this. We didn't see the show, so we just listened to a bunch of reviews. So there was an X Division title.
Yes, it was a multi-person. It was a six-pack gauntlet. Rahit Raju, who has signed a new multi-year contract with the company.
Yeah, and he's kind of like a comedy.
He's
play it right now.
He's done everything that's been asked of him, and he's now finally reaping his reward by being the X Division champ.
And he's the guy that kind of fell into the championship.
Yeah, he was buddy with Chris Bay, who was the former champ, which he manipulated and ended up beating. And Chris Bay was in here along with Trey Miguel, Jordan Grace, TJP, and there was one other, and it eludes me who it was. I know it's somebody that was good, but I digress.
It's all right. Jordan Grace got into this match because a week ago she pinned him.
Right, and Rahit's thing was that he never gave the title over to the referee to make an official title bout because it was Willie Mack, of course.
Oh,
the Mac is the one.
How could we forget Willie?
Forgive me, Willie. He sort of helped her by causing the distraction. Got the pin, but Rahit's I never gave the title. I never agreed for it to be a championship one. Mm-hmm. That's the reason why she was in it. It went back and forth as the next division goes. A lot of good moves, suicide dives. But in the end, Rahit did retain the championship.
Yeah.
And so he'll continue on. He'll probably claim that none of them gets a chance because his thing was once you get one shot, that's all you get.
He's really playing on that weak heel gimmick to where he's just avoiding competition at any means necessary.
Right, he's just trying to eliminate possible repeats in matches and stuff. And with that happening, who knows who could be a person that comes for that belt. I mean, it's an X division. It's not weight related, so anybody could go for it. I mean, there are plenty of guys wrestling that are singles guys. You could have Brian Meyer, you could have Rhino, you could have Hernandez, you could have just about anybody on that roster, basically, who wants a shot, get one. But we'll have to see.
And speaking of Rhino, we had a gauntlet match here with some debuts and some stipulations.
Yes, it was a 20-man battle royal match, and it was the Call Your Shot Gauntlet. The winner of it got to call their shot on any title.
They came out to the ring every minute and a half.
I believe it was every minute,
kind of the Royal
2 minutes.
Rumble,
It's their version of it.
Their version, yeah.
And but the thing is, when it comes down to the last two, I do believe it just becomes a straight-up match, which is a slight difference.
So we don't really know the number of the people that went in here, but
I can sort of give you an idea of who was in the match and in what area. Rhino was actually number one.
He was number one.
He was number one, and there's a little special thing in there that Rhino put up his job for his buddy Heath, that if either one of them won that, Heath would get a contract with Impact.
Yeah.
If neither one of them did, both Heath and Rhino, they're out the door. They don't have no jobs, no food for their kids.
Right, and he's got kids. We all know he.
That's right. And we saw later on, Jessica Havoc in this match. Taya Valkyrie was in this match. We saw, I believe it was Nevaeh and Kira Hogan were part of it. Tommy Dreamer was in there for a short time, as was Crazy Steve.
Tommy.
Yeah. Crazy Steve was in there for a very short time. Yeah. Hernandez ended up being the number 20 because he won the 5-person stipulation because Rhino speared Alicia Edwards so hard it almost pulled her right out of her boots. All the guys were a little upset with him, but he didn't mean it on purpose. It was going for Hernandez, and Hernandez sort of sidestepped it.
Impact involves a lot of more of the intergender stuff.
They're not as afraid of doing something on occasion. I mean, it's not a common, but
it's like with Jordan Grace being in the X Division.
Exactly.
And Tessa Blanchard being the former champion.
They have no problem doing it because they know that the women that they have there are good wrestlers and can handle themselves even with some of the bigger guys.
So the Gauntlet, this match was won by Rhino, but
yes, it was.
What happened was it was either Rhino or Heath had to win for them both to keep their jobs.
Correct.
Heath got eliminated unexpectedly. You really figured with Heath coming out at, I think he was a later number, maybe 18.
He was somewhere in the last 5.
He was going to win. The match was really built around this.
Yes.
Surprising, a couple surprises. Davari looking all jacked.
Yes.
And James Storm.
They also had Swoggle too.
Swoggle.
He came out somewhere around like 10.
And they did the spot with Swoggle, from what I understand. They did a Doomsday device to Tommy Dreamer. Swoggle got up on the top rope, and Tommy Dreamer got down on his knees.
Yeah.
I don't know who was on his shoulders, though.
Yeah, I'm not really sure on that
Yeah.
as well. I didn't catch who the person was, unfortunately.
But they did do a little mini doomsday device with Hornswoggle, which I'm sure was funny to watch.
I'm sure if you can find the highlights, it'll be definitely a highly watched highlight.
James Storm, I was under the impression was going back to NXT. He was in the NWA.
Right? He was
I
a tag team champ?
I don't think he's an Impact permanently.
No, I think Daivari, Swalgo, and him were more of a one-off kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like Impact, it seems in some of their pay-per-views, especially the ones that they mean a lot to them, like Slammiversary and Bound for Glory.
This is their WrestleMania Bound for Glory, right?
I would say Slammiversary is more their WrestleMania type one. The Bound for Glory is like their second top.
Well, I guess it's the Royal Rumble with this kind of match in it.
You could say that, yeah.
It's definitely their number one or two, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah, and I think lately with their pay-per-views is what they like to do is try and add a little something to it, something to get people talking, the shock value and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, it's always a good thing because nobody expected Daivari, Swalgo, or especially James Storm. So they were pleasant.
It's nice to see, though, that Heath and Rhino get to the kids. There was a spot, though, in this match, though, where Heath, when he got eliminated, they're thinking maybe he got injured. So
I don't know what the injury was,
yeah.
But I'm sure we'll find out in days to come.
All right, so the tag team title match, we had a four-way.
Yes, that was Madman Fulton, Ace Austin, as some people like to call them.
I call him Gambit.
Sabretooth.
He's Gambit and Sabretooth.
They were going against the North, also the Good Brothers, and the Impact Champions, the Motor City Machine Guns.
Yes. So right when this match started out, Alex Shelley could not participate.
Correct, because Alexander of the North attacked Shelley onto the ramp and gave him basically, I believe it's called a Tiger 98 driver, which is basically a butterfly suplex pile driver on the ramp. And
you don't see those very often anymore.
Not very often. The only person I noticed doing that, even in the last 6 months or so, is I believe it's Chucky T or possibly Kenny Omega have used that move on occasion. But Alex Shelley was out of the match, so Chris Sabin had to go it alone against the other teams.
So you kind of knew there was going to be new champions because of this.
The likely odds did favor into the other three.
Yeah.
For sure. And so Sabin gave it his all. I mean, he was in there. He did not let up. He gave as good as he got. The match did go back and forth multiple times with a lot of different teams attacking and doing their moves and their bits in the match. But in the end, the North ended up winning the Impact Tag Team titles again because Ethan Page, before they went out there, had a great promo about how for 94 days he couldn't call himself a champion, and he was hell-bent on the North winning those titles, and he definitely helped make that come true.
Yeah, and he's the crazy one.
He's the jokester a bit, where Alexander's more the straight
I was
guy.
telling you the team reminds you of the Hart Foundation.
Because one guy is the
you got the loose cannon, you got the science, you got the whole the shooter. I like the North. I don't think this was a very popular decision with a lot of fans. Maybe they were expecting the Good Brothers. You were expecting that?
I assumed it, but you should never assume because everybody knows when you assume what happens.
Oh.
So I mean, but I can see why, or the decision why the North ended up getting it.
Yeah.
But I don't have a problem with it. The North are a fine tag team, and they do cut really good promos. So kudos to them. A second shot, but I don't think it'll last a year this time.
Right. No, that was a long reign that they had the first time, but it helped them.
It did. It
because
established them.
They really have the perception they are like kind of Impact's version of. I keep wanting to say the Revival. FTR.
You could, the FTR. Yeah,
it's
FTR. It's a similar.
But it's kind of like the approach,
just slightly different.
Right?
Yeah, it's a slightly different.
All right, cool. In the main event, Rich Swann.
He was going against the main event, Eric Young.
The appreciation we both always wanted to see him have in the WWE.
Oh yeah, and this match, it went back and forth. There was one other match. We'll talk about that. That came before this one, but
that's right, the Shamrock match.
There was that makes it two because
we didn't get the event. Well, I mean, the Shamrock match was okay. The Rock gave him that introduction to the Hall of Fame, and then from what I understand, they went the mixed martial arts approach with it.
Yeah.
So they really made Ken look good.
Yeah, it was a real decent match.
Yeah.
But basically, to cut that one short, Shamrock did end up winning.
Yeah.
Which you would expect, it being his weekend and the attacks he had on Eddie Edwards.
Yeah, sure.
But the heavyweight title one, we saw Rich Swann, who had been attacked by Eric Young multiple times on his right ankle. But Rich Swann came out like a trooper that he is.
Yeah, I mean, this was all the story leading into this was just Eric Young just like, don't bother me. Like this character that Eric Young, this kind of schizo, kind of split personality character that he's kind of doing. It's kind of like just recognize me as the best and don't bother me.
Right.
And don't fight me. And if you're gonna fight me, you're gonna get hurt. He's kind of doing that approach to where like it's disrespectful to even want to go up against him.
Right, and he had the special anger with Rich Swann because if you remember in the five-way match originally, Rich Swann is the one who pinned him and got him first out of that match. That's where the first incident of him sort of losing it and going after Rich Swann's ankle, so then he couldn't have the belt and all that. So, this is how this match came out. They went after each other back and forth. Young going after that ankle, trying to make it as painful as possible for Rich Swann. But Rich Swann ended up in the end prevailing, becoming the new Impact champ.
Long road for Rich. Everything he dealt with in the WWE coming to this point, in his career.
Yeah, what the events that caused him to unfortunately leave and then come here, his time that he spent teaming with Willie Mack, which I would love, maybe down the line seeing them guys go again as a tag team. They were always great in the ring against no matter who they faced. Getting his opportunity, to fight for this title. Not to mention the time he's had as the X Division champ. He did a great time defending that one. And now that he's the Impact champ, I'm sure he'll hold on to it for a good while. Show that he is top material, that he can carry, that kind of position on his back. Oh. And I'm sure we'll see a rematch with him and Eric Young and a lot of guys, who are also deserving of a shot at that title.
Yeah, I like this. And obviously Eric, I didn't expect him to have the belt for a long period of time.
Well, it seems the last, him and Eddie Edwards, who was the previous one, didn't really have the belt for too long of a period. But
they got so many guys that they want to push and they want to get strong builds for.
Yeah.
And with Scott D'Amore being the booker, we don't have to worry about Eric Young.
No. Scott D'Amore, I think, has done a really good job, building this roster, getting good, talented people, making.
Yeah, a lot of people say this. A lot of people say this was the weakest big card of Scott D'Amore's booking.
Yeah, it really all depends on who you're a true follower of. Some people liked certain parts of the show, some didn't. Everyone has their opinion.
You want to get to the last one. It's probably a good thing that we saved Moose for last because it was the silliest.
Well,
it was their cinematic match.
Yes, their version of their cinematic match with EC3 and the old TNA title and him slowly driving Moose up the wall, with it. Some people I've heard didn't care for it. There were others who thought it was a well-done story that basically EC3 was trying to get Moose to stop being this delusional guy who thought he was a wrestling champ and a wrestling god and this and that, and make him realize his full potential by bringing out the inner rage that he had inside. Because, Moose has never been the heavyweight champ. I think he's had opportunities, but has always come up short. He was a grand champion early on when they had that belt, and he's turned on friends like Eddie Edwards and all that. But I think EC3 was just trying to coax the best out of Moose, because Moose going around with basically a prop belt, screaming that he's a true champion, defending it, yes, but it's not recognized. It's a delusional state, and I think he finally has gotten Moose into a mindset where it's stop screwing around and get in there and do what you need to do to be a champion. Now, EC3 is not contracted to Impact, so I'm sure we'll see him again, time and again, But he's, bouncing from one place to another just to see maybe where he wants to go. But maybe this will end the TNA I'm a Champ thing, and Moose will become that main contender who could face Rich Swann along with others down the road.
Yeah, I've been enjoying Moose personally.
I love Moose.
I think he's quite a character. I think the whole build-up to this match where EC3 was freaking him out, and he's like, I don't understand it. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. I like the fact that the match was for a belt that doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
I mean, because really, EC3 won the belt. Moose won the belt at the end. It was for the belt, right?
In his mind, it was for the belt. I think for EC3...
So does this make the belt legit now?
I'm not going to say it makes it legit. I mean, it makes for a good focal point to maybe get him to actually go for the actual Impact title.
Oh, that'll be good. Like, Moose and Rich Swann would be good.
I think it would be an
That'd be a
excellent
contrast. Like, that would be a really good contrast in styles.
Yeah, I mean, this could lead to... Who knows, what kind of match it could be with them. There could be the other guys who are also vying for that one. Heck, Rhino still has the Gauntlet. He could just do that for the Rich one, but I see his thing.
The Gauntlet win was probably like,
him and Heath.
just to make him
But
do the tag.
there are plenty of guys in line who could go for it. You have Sami Callihan, you've had Eddie Edwards, you've got Ken Shamrock if he sticks around, you could have Moose. Let's not forget Eric Young. He is the former champ. He does get a rematch clause, So Rich Swann's got the target on his back and lots of possibilities. But I wouldn't be surprised if Moose at some point finally gets the main belt.
I think it's headed in that direction. It just makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
And that'll be good. Because Moose is very entertaining.
He is, and I love those robes.
Oh, yeah, the robes and everything.
Those robes are magnificent.
And he rocks the pink.
He does. I love that. I love that music. It's a great song.
Yeah, I like him a lot. All right, so before we go tonight, want to say anything about the song and dance on AEW? You didn't see it, but I did. I
didn't really.
The MJ, everybody knows now, the
it,
MJF and the Chris Jericho with their steak dinner and the song and dance.
Yeah, from what I've heard, or at least what Chris Jericho has stated, that they did do that over a length of time.
Yeah.
It was taped. It wasn't just...
Definitely.
With all the stuff and the choreography.
If that was live...
If it was live, man...
Hire those guys for Broadway.
Get that segment of Tony just for that if it was live. But they did say that it did take a considerable amount of time to get that down, to what it was. And I know there are a lot of people who loved it.
Yeah.
It wasn't my cup of tea.
It was different.
But it was
the one thing you got to give it is AEW
yeah.
continues with Chris Jericho, I think, being the major visionary.
Yeah, he's always willing to take
this was definitely a Chris thing again, and
oh yeah, between being the matchmaker.
I missed his podcast on Saturday night last night, but I'm sure he was having a ball talking about it.
Oh yeah, I did too.
He has the Saturday night podcast.
Yeah. That is an enjoyable one, and the way he responds to all the people who go on there and talk. And then his little sing-along that he does with them is also quite funny as well.
And the steaks arrived blue rare.
Yeah, I could never eat a steak like that.
And they did the whole waitress,
Yeah,
it was very, this reminded me of stuff I grew up with my grandmother, the 40s and the 50s. It was very old-fashioned.
Oh, it was.
Kind of, getting back to, they even did where one sang and the other one did the follow singing.
Right.
The shadow singing,
Right.
They did a great job, but I liked it a lot, and it was really fun.
Oh, sure. And I'm sure that segment alone will get watched quite a bit by people. I know there's some people
And that's exactly why on SmackDown you had an Elias concert. They wanted to show they could do a production too.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was the reason why.
Because Elias is legit. He ain't no honky tonk man, Sessel.
No, the guy can strum the strings. I give him credit for that, and it's nice when a guy actually does have a talent, and they don't just try and smooth it over and make it look like he's got a talent. When the guy can actually strum the guitar, hey, I give him tons of credit.
And that was the other match we forgot about tonight. Was Elias and Jeff Hardy.
Oh yeah, well. That's
exactly my point.
That tells you how
Exactly
important
my
it was.
point.
I mean, I'm amazed that we remembered the Hurt Business.
I don't
one.
think anybody cared. It's like the big joke going into it is like it was already established. Sheamus did this, and it was already over.
Yeah.
So Elias just looks like a fool in every way possible.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the ultimate gimmick of the singer in the WWE.
Always getting interrupted and frustration and fighting, and then win or lose. I mean.
Anyway. That's going to be it for tonight.
Yeah.
We didn't spend too much time. I think we spent more time on an event we didn't watch. No, we didn't.
I'd say
it was probably equal.
I would say it's like a 60-40 maybe.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's a pay-per-view weekend. You can't just be one and not the other. You should do both. Give each their good, their bad.
And so many people spend so many hours hating the WWE every week.
And there are many people who go out there.
Not too many people talk about Impact and other things.
And they hate the lesser ones because it's not WWE. But everybody should have an equal footing, should get equal time because they all are doing what we love. And it's watching them wrestle.
Well put. All right. Well, that's it, man.
All right. Thank you, Jason.
And thank you, Sessel. Go on ahead and subscribe. Hit that like button.
Don't forget the notification.
Wrestling Figure Forum every Sunday night. Tune in and happy trails. Thanks a lot for watching, guys.
We'll see you next time.